So, in the last patch, we ended on a cross-bridge moment where the Phantom Moon, basically this giant-ass moon that watches over everything in Planarcadia, suddenly starts yapping. And turns out, AHA just changed the final price of the Phantom Moon game. It's no longer temporary. The winner now becomes the permanent Eon of Elation. Very casual. The crew then rushes back to the Express and held an emergency meeting with Pearl, the IPC local authority figure, and gets some bad news. Public opinion is already turning against them. Some are even accusing the Trailblazer of being herald of death. And meanwhile, Fulwish is stirring everything up. She runs Fulwish TV, if you don't know that already from the name, the biggest media channel in Planarcadia, and somehow she's actively using the power of abundance for the happiness surgery without being affected by it herself. Totally normal behavior, so the crew decides to dig into her past more. The crew then heads to Graphia Academy, Fulwish and Himiko's old school. As we learned in the previous patches, Ryusuke isn't just some random dean, he's Himiko's father, because apparently this story also needs family drama. 15 years ago, he left on a commission and came back to find the campus completely changed after the Hurdle of Death incident. He then points them towards the archive room and Miss Dolly, where the real digging begins. Miss Dolly says Fulwish was basically the model student. Smart, ambitious, kind, and always helping people. But the yearbook shows there was already something sad underneath all of it. Turns out she is an orphan, her parents never left a message, and her classmates talk about people who didn't make it back. And there it is, the sad backstory of the villains. Fulwish later went off to study cognitive science after graduation, seemingly searching for answers about the Hurdle of Death incident. Back in the original classroom, the crew witnesses a lingering memory of an interaction between Bell, another classmate, and Fulwish interacting. Then Fulwish suddenly makes a personal appearance with her camera crew behind them and declares herself a supplicant in the Phantom Moon games.
I formally announce that I will join the Phantom Moon games!
And then proceeds to rage bait the crew into a debate at the Fulwish TV station in Seafeld City, a new location unlocked in this patch. Now from there, the story moves into the Seafeld City stretch with Evanescia and Yao Guang, and their exchange keeps building tension as the pair tries to understand what's really going on here. While Evanescia retrieves her ruler sword with Yao Guang, they encounter Sunday, Danhang, Ashwell, and Blade together. Then this is where the truth finally starts to come out. The happiness surgery promoted by the Smile Society led by Fulwish uses Shuhu cells, which, by the way, Shuhu is the emanator of abundance, and everyone who has undergone the surgery has already become a supplicant. Blade makes it clear that once the whispers converge, the will of the flesh awakens, and every host becomes nourishment turning into joy ascendant, abomination of the abundance. After that, the Trailblazer asks Sparksy out of everyone to dig through Fulwish's record at the Tarvin, because there's reason to suspect that Fulwish is a master fool as well, because one mask was clearly not enough. That is where the backstory about the mask is revealed. AHA gave Fulwish a mask so she could survive the horrendous incident 15 years ago. Classic AHA. With that clue in hand, Sparksy escapes Fulwish, happy Syndaxes, and runs off. Setting up the crew's final return to Seafeld City TV Tower. Himiko and the Trailblazer head to the Fulwish TV tower, where Ashwell and Sunday are already waiting in the lobby, getting ready for the debate. Ashwell notes that the moment you stepped through the door, the debate has actually already started. Sunday, who had been undercover inside the Smile Society, pulls out an internal report on the happiness surgery, and what's in it only makes what Fulwish is planning looks even worse. The broadcast then begins, but Fulwish didn't come to debate. She came to hijack the stage directly. She rolls footage of Dan Han walking alongside Blade and spit it as proof that a member of the Astral Express is secretly working with a Stellaron hunter criminal. Then she exposes Sunday's real identity, not a neutral guest, but a fugitive member of the family. The debate is already over before it began, and the crew is the villain now. And with that, Fulwish speedran public relations. While all of this is playing out, Yao Guang and Evanescia are also nearby in Seafeld City and witnesses firsthand what the happiness surgery is actually doing to people. Citizens implanted with Shuhu's cells are twisting into raging abominations, attacking supplicants and people inside. This is no longer an ideology debate, but full-blown World War Z. That's what pushes them back to the Phantom Moon courtyard. Evanescia needs to invoke her true authority as the game's arbitrator, and to do that, she has to explain something she rarely ever admits to Yao Guang, what she actually is. She reveals that she wasn't born the way anyone had assumed. She is born from a branch of what is likely the ambrosial arbor from the Xianjiu, planted here by the abundance a long time ago. In the past 1,000 years since, She has been forced to unleash her true alter ego power only 3 times. Each time she did it, it came with massive destruction. That's why she holds back and is afraid of doing it again. That's why she operates through rules and rituals and the Phantom Moon framework instead of just acting with her true power. But here's the problem. Her executive ruling, aka her alter ego ability and her nuclear option as a referee, can only be activated when a supplicant breaks the rules. And Fulwish is technically not a supplicant at all. She is Shuhu parasitizing counter supplicants, which means there is no clean target. The rules don't apply and the referee's hands are tied. So Evanescia does the only thing she can. She breaks the rules herself. She disqualifies herself as a supplicant to trigger her own power. So the referee is also a walking apocalypse who committed a foul on herself to get off the bench. What a great system this is. Pearl meets with Silverwolf in the Prolux Tower and wants to see how the script will unfold. Silverwolf refuses to play along, so Pearl gives her unrestricted network access and asks her to investigate the truth of the Joy Ascendant's infection and how it actually works. Nothing says trust like handing a hacker the keys and hoping for the best. Kafka then sends Silverwolf a transmission, but compared to the script, she arrives 23 seconds late.
Not exactly right on. And you missed your cue.
Elio's message follows, don't lose to Aha. That's it. And after that, Pearl orders Silverwolf to hack into the network and trace the source of the Joy Ascendant infection. Silverwolf then briefly remembers her own backstory, including how she joined the Stellaron Hunters and gave up her cartridge because she was bored with the level 999 ending, whatever that means. From there, she investigates the simpering person, the beaming person, and the wryly smiling person. 3 infection types. She starts uncovering the pattern behind the happiness surgery, and that's the real horror of the happiness syntax, which is that unhappiness is a sin.
Unhappiness is a sin.
That's what this is.
Fulwish is happiness syntax.
Hey, you swear to God!
And once the idea spreads, Shuhu's cells and wish power turns everything into a self-feeding loop, making people infected. After uncovering the truth, Silverwolf heads for the TV tower, only to get thrown off course and realize the Pearl she has been dealing with on comms is actually an imposter.
Yes, this is me, imposter.
And that's when the trap closes in and Silverwolf is forced into a confrontation with Mr. Meanie. He claims he is the one holding the pen and says the story is already set. Fulwish gets what she wants, Shuhu returns, and Arcadia becomes an abundance hellscape. Silverwolf refuses to accept that. She keeps teasing him, calling out the fact that he isn't even dealing with her on the main account. But Mr. Meanie makes it clear that this is a trap. Silverwolf is trapped, but then immediately said actually no, and proceeds to break out with an ether copy she had prepared, shattering Mr. Meanie's trap. In that moment, she proves the script can be resisted. Back at the station now, Himiko stays behind to hold off the Joy Ascendants and to do some side quests, while the Trailblazer, Ashfeld and Sunday scale the outside of the tower. Because the elevators are completely locked down by Fulwish. Higher up now, they then run into Blade, who has already cleared the floor on his own. Of course, Blade was already there, because he just appears where suffering is maximum. Dan Heng arrives shortly after, and confirms that Blade can actually be trusted. The plan is simple. Blade is also a host of Shuhu, so whatever Fulwish can do through the mask, he can counter it. They just need to create an opening for him to seize it as 200,000 people are on the line. Great plan, just weaponize the immortal trauma guy. Pearl then sends data slides of Shuhu to help hack the network and trace the real culprit behind the spreading infection.
And also, these mini kitties that appeared in massive numbers are actually the imaginated creations of the 200,000 victims' supplicant masses, and they were the ones that is manipulating the Joy Ascendants. So to stop Fulwish, they have to be eliminated first.
And thanks to Pearl's counter broadcast, public opinion starts to shift. The mini kitties fuse into one giant smiley face as the last stand. Sunday calls everyone to regroup. At the top, Silverwolf breaks through the happiness index just in time
to help us hold Mini Kitty back
before stepping aside. Speaking of Silverwolf, in this splash out right here, it is revealed that Mr. Meanie is likely Asset Pramad, or at least controlled by him, one of the Lord Ravengers associated with the Elation. That's probably why Silverwolf taunted him earlier by saying that he wasn't even on his main account. The crew then reaches the broadcasting room. Fulwish projection appears and tells them she never actually intended to use the happiness syntax on them and never planned to defeat them either. Then she asks one question: when was the last time you had a good laugh? She calls Planarcadia utterly absurd, blames all the suffering on sham screening, and invites everyone to one final shutdown at the very top of the tower. At the top of the tower now, we enter the final boss battle of this patch. she stops treating it like a normal fight and turns it into one last twisted show, saying that the entire world is just a staged spectacle and that happiness itself has been turned into entertainment. Then the fight escalates into something bigger. Fulwish merges with the Shuhu flower on top of the tower, which is where the actual power comes from, transforming into a far more monstrous form.
Which I then suddenly realized I brought RMC instead of Super Big Trailblazer.
During the battle, the Trailblazer falls off the tower and ends up back in the Phantom Moon courtyard with an awakened alter ego of Evanescia. Why does this scene look so familiar? She says she has to use her destructive power to stop Fulwish, but after explaining the consequences of this action, the Trailblazer begs her to give him a chance to finish Fulwish off in the supplicant matter instead.
Give me one more day.
The alter ego of Evanescia reluctantly agrees and allows him 3 more minutes to finish her off, and the Trailblazer received the light stick from the Star Rail Fest as a weapon, awakening their new Elation Trailblaze form.
The hero makes a dazzling entrance!
Bro, you are not a Jedi. And with the Trailblazer returning to the fight and ruining my super break setup, we finally finish off Fulwish for good. Nihilux, Cinderbone, and Sparkseed started a live stream to rally the people of Planarcadia to save themselves and spread hope. Blade then draws Shuhu's flesh onto himself, and Sunday uses tuning to help keep everyone sane while asking the people to offer up their fear. Blade survives, of course he does, but now he's suffering more than he ever has. Yaguang proposes a funeral not because he's dead, but because dying is the one thing Blade has always wanted and never been able to actually do. She also hints that the answer may lie in Odorcus's dead body, which sets up 4.3 directly. Blade's reward for surviving is a funeral. Very normal, very healthy. The Blade flashback also explains how she shattered the short sword she has and used the fragments, stepping them into himself to stay conscious for the final fight and resist the Mara and prevent himself from going insane. After that, we meet up with Evanescia outside Graphia Academy, and she tells the Trailblazer to warn Graphene that a Sepramon has returned, and suddenly Kuchiba breaks into Prolux Tower to reveal that the Phantom Moon games were actually a steal for a dead Odorcus, the Eon of Veracity. So the old theories about Fulwish are mostly solved now, but the bigger cosmic ones are still open. That also makes the Asset Pramad question more important. If Asset Pramad really is Mr. Meanie, then he's likely operating at a level above Fulwish, shaping the board while letting her act as the visible face of the disaster. That would mean Fulwish was never the final author of the arc. Silverwolf's purpose on Planarcadia is also revealed, as she is there to deal with Mr. Meanie, who is most likely Asset Pramad. And the dead body of Odorcus being on Planarcadia reveal only deepens that. If the Phantom games were about sealing a dead Eon, as Kuchiba suggested, then Planarcadia is sitting on a cosmic contradiction that the story has only started to explain. We also finally know how Evanescia came to be and her role on Planarcadia. We stopped her from doing it a 4th time by defeating Fulwish ourselves instead. And now that Evanescia has revealed what she really is, the Abundance effectively has a fragment of itself sitting in Planarcadia as a permanent judge. Depending on what comes next, that could get very complicated very fast. The real next questions are, how exactly Shuhu's cells end up on Planarcadia and whether Asset Pramad brought them there is still unanswered. Is Asset Pramad truly the one behind Mr. Meanie? What does Odorcus' dead body being here actually mean for the wider setting? And how much of Planarcadia was always just a broadcasted illusion? That's the real setup going forward. Planarcadia fell apart because it was built to turn suffering into entertainment. And now that illusion has cracked, the only thing left is whatever comes after the show. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more videos like these and quick guides on the characters.